I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, March 19, 2019 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. And as always, we will start with a roll call. I am Brian Barabee.
I am Jeff Bryan.
Kit McNamara. Bill Payne.
Rebecca Wonthall.
Right. First up this evening, we're going with CFC, right? The Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for a certificate of compliance for 32 Harvard Road, single-family home and associated septic system. The public meeting to begin right now.
So this is really realistically just an administrative closeout. It was a single-family home and septic upgrade replacement that had been done. The work hadn't been done under 112544, which is the number associated with this request. The work has been completed and had received a certificate of compliance under 112594. Therefore, this just needs to be closed out. So it was sold, or somewhere along the lines, a developer took it over to do the home and the septic. And that's what that new file is associated with. And this, the order of conditions was issued but never recorded. So the new property owner had to go get it recorded for just administrative cleanup, title cleanup. Yes.
See you.
And,
God bless you.
so this is from, so now this is the next step, yeah.
Okay, and it was nothing different in this one that wasn't already covered in the other one? All right, does that, everybody understanding the situation?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Major problems? Should hold us over the next few months, at least, right? 2 or 3? No. All right, I'd like to, sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 32 Harvard Road, single-family home and associated septic system, DEP file number 1120544. Do I hear a second? This is to close.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 32 Harvard Road, single-family home and associated septic system, DEP file number 112-0544. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So issued. Second.
Do we have a second?
Kip?
Next one's yours. You ready? Because it's heavy.
So you are all set, you can get a copy of that
So that's the
tomorrow morning from my
two
office.
documents from
Yep.
5 years before we bought the house,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so-
night, everyone.
Good night.
Good
So
night.
I'll be by tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll talk about it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Was. Are we 7:15 for Century Member Road? 7:30. It says 7:30 in the agenda, but
It's up to the applicant. Do you mind moving up?
Yeah,
as I was saying, nobody's here to comment on this tonight, I'm hoping.
we're already here, so
All right.
You can come up.
In that case, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for a certificate of compliance for 1 Century Mill Road restoration plantings at the rear of the lot and adjacent property. Public meeting to begin right now.
Can you just state your name for the record?
My name is Val Costa, I'm a wetland scientist at Garter Consulting, just for the record.
You spell
VAL. So we did the sidewalk today. I would like to start with any questions the commission might have.
Sure. My big one is, do we think the plantings were done originally? Because it didn't, I mean, it looks like they haven't taken, but it doesn't look like they were even started. Do we think they were done and failed? Or do we think they just weren't started yet?
Yes,
I guess it's the big.
from what I know, they were performed, but the plantings failed. I mean, the replication area is predates 12 years, I think,
Yeah.
13 years. So it's a pretty old restoration area.
And were there listings of exactly what to plant, or does it give
Yes,
us an
that's in your
idea?
packet section.
Sorry, that was,
It's in the order of condition. It mentions highwood, blueberry, great big dogwood, and arborvitae.
Yep.
Sorry, maybe spell. They included the removal of some vegetation that was clear cut. I believe the debris were out on site, I mean outside.
So in your packets, I just included the findings from the prior order conditions, which you have before you as well. And
Yes.
then, the plan, actually both plans that Val has in front of us as well. Just for visual display of.
Yes, this was done with ArcGIS, so it's pretty much an overlay of the 21st century mill and red delineation with the site on this, with the property line of 1 century mill.
other questions? Jeff, you were out there today, I don't know.
It didn't look to me like any, to be honest with you, it didn't look like it was done. I don't know what, you know, it could have failed and they could have all died away, but it doesn't look like anything grew there other than weeds, just, you know, like scientific.
I mean, then again, like I said, they were performed 13 years ago. If they failed, you wouldn't see, the natural vegetation will take over and you wouldn't see.
So what is there now?
Nothing.
So there's just a pile of brush, there's some just vegetation that grew in, some grass, and then a few small saplings, smaller than a sapling actually, smaller than a seedling. But what concerns me, and I think Jeff brings up a good point, is, and I made the point when we were on site, is typically you see hay bales and stakes, they're there for years and years and years after. There is no evidence of those even being there, so that's a concern as well in terms of, you know, there being any form of evidence that this had been done in the first place. And in addition to that, I look at my file, and my predecessor was very good at keeping documentation of everything. We never even received receipts or proof of plantings, and those are things that typically when you do a restoration or replication area, that's what are expected. And this is when we're planting, okay, it's done being planted, so now we're gonna come out and get an inspection. Now, 2 years later, we're gonna get a secondary inspection to make sure it's properly, you know, it's been successful, or we replaced the plantings, okay. Now I get a COC, now I lift up those hay bales, now I remove any, you know, maybe there's tags still on them, we see that a lot of times, but no, I mean, I can't see anything there, and I do appreciate they did include in the report for the request that the work hadn't survived. I do appreciate that, but there's nothing there, and my predecessor received no information stating this had even been done in the first place. And I know last time we talked about, you know, are there invasives there? It's not overcome with invasives. I did note some bittersweet. But, you know, what was requested was native planting, so it would just be the exact same thing I feel that the commission would be requesting. But I just didn't really see any evidence of it being done, either on site or in the file.
I did try to contact the client today to see if they ended up using, maybe if they didn't use hay bales. He didn't get back to me.
Okay.
But I mean, a possibility is that maybe they didn't use them, or maybe they did use them, and like I said, it's 13 years ago. Those things, they usually designed to decompose, or they could have been easily washed away by human action.
Can I ask you a
But
quick
that's a
question?
possibility.
Not with state.
Why are we doing this?
So there was an enforcement order with the previous Conservation Commission,
Right.
Conservation Administrator, and that led to, or in order, to do this the restoration area
Right,
because of encroachment on the adjacent property.
okay,
In addition to that, at the time, it was seen to be within jurisdictional area and
Right.
resource area.
okay, so basically, nothing, it was asked to be done,
Yep,
but it looks like nothing was done.
correct. I mean,
to
that's.
be-
Or nothing took.
or
Either,
nothing
either
took.
or, right?
Either or, nothing's there now.
So was it done to protect the like
Yes.
adjacent wetland area?
Yep,
So,
What is there now, does it protect adequately the adjacent wetland area? Would it be improved if plantings were put there?
it would certainly be improved when you add plantings anywhere. You reduce runoff and you have uptake of different materials as well when you add plantings to an area. And that area does have a slope around the edge of
it
that.
slopes.
Yeah, it slopes down
Down
towards the
here.
wetland.
It slopes up to the road too, so it's a slope.
Yes.
slope.
So one of the things is there was another conditions under the bylaw which regulates, I believe, 75 feet adjacent.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So not to try to pick a fight with the commission.
Sure, no, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's very doubtful that the wetlands would move back. I mean, the wetlands would have had to move back more than 25 feet for this area to be within 75 feet of whatever wetland line there was at that time.
Right, and I also appreciate that as well, and, you know, the adjacent property had, an ORAD that's been issued recently, and I don't think that's in question here. And something to note is, in the Wetlands Protection Act, any work outside of the buffer areas, even upland areas, become jurisdictional if it's going to impact the wetland.
Yeah, and do
So
understand.
that may have been at the time, I'm not the previous individual, but when she issued and the commission issued that order of conditions, they must have had very good reason for it. It was issued, I would assume, if it wasn't directly related to that, is right outside of that 100-foot buffer,
Yes.
so it does meet those criteria as
No,
well.
I also don't understand that at the time the client conceded to the commission's findings. But then another issue, this is a legal issue, is the commission issued an order of conditions to 1 Century Mill Road, regulating work outside of the property.
Right.
So how would the commission even have the jurisdiction to enforce that work?
So in the findings, you find that there was request for notice from that abutter, and that there was some question on that. So to my understanding, there was communication with the owner at the time. I know ownership has changed since then, but at the time of when the order was issued, that's why it was issued, and there was some sort of agreement at the time.
I do understand that, but still legally, the order of conditions and the enforcement order would not be enforceable because, I mean, the order of conditions is issued to 1 Century Mill Road. It's
Yep,
regulated for work that outside of the property.
Yeah.
So legally, this area is not even regulated under the order of conditions because
So
this is outside of the property.
In the findings, it does establish that, where are we? Sorry, I don't.
No, please, Amy.
This is
Says
not your
there's a
property?
dispute
No, that's
between the
outside of
owner
the-
and his
that's
abutter on the
outside.
property line.
It's
In
21
the
Century.
event this dispute is resolved in the favor of the abutter and the owner is required to remove the concrete blocks and or driveway, this order establishes conditions to protect the resource area during the period of disruption until the area is stabilized. The commission finds the precautions are needed to protect the DPW in the future, et cetera, et cetera. It also states in section C of the general findings, the commission finds that the plantings of high bush blueberries, gray twig dogwood is on an abutter's property. This order establishes conditions for the applicant/owner to provide proof of authorization from the abutting owner to plant the vegetation and remove the debris. So, that correspondence, to my understanding, did occur, so this was allowed. I'm not the previous owner, and I know there's a new owner, so if a new agreement needs to be had, fine, but that's how the order was written, and that's how it was issued.
The order of conditions cites this specific plan, and on this plan, the area where the limit of work is, pretty much established.
Yeah.
So we agreed that the limit of work is this area, which is off of the property.
Yeah.
And the order of conditions, it was issued to 1 Century Mill Road.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking from
So
a legal
With
perspective,
this,
how,
this is associated with the DEP file number,
Okay.
it was recorded as such. And
it's,
it hadn't been disputed at the time, there's no question about it at the time, so now,
I do understand that, but at the time, we didn't have proper representation.
Sure, well, put it this way,
Which that's
wait,
fine,
hold
but-
on. This is, stands right now, this has been filed with the DEP,
Right.
this is what they have. Is there currently a legal challenge to this? I mean, in the courts right now, is there currently a legal challenge to this?
No.
Alright, so if your client wants to do a legal challenge to the order, then go ahead and do a legal challenge to the order. Until your client does a legal challenge to the order, we're still gonna deal with everything that was listed in the order. Does that make sense to you?
and it was.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm not gonna change it legally. This is what the DEP has on file. This is what we're going with. If there's a legal challenge, take it to court. We're going with this. Does that make sense? I'm not gonna argue all night whether legally you have to or not.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about the OOC for this.
I do understand what
Okay,
you're saying.
but we're not gonna have a legal argument about do you want it or do you not. It's covered under the order of conditions. We're discussing it as part of the order of conditions. That's it. We're not gonna discuss do we have the right or not.
I'll leave one question up there.
Please, go
How
ahead.
would the commission enforce the enforcement?
My guess is we usually fine if people are out of, right? If they're not following the order of conditions, usually we issue a fine.
Not
I mean,
necessarily.
I'm not
So
sure.
how the enforcement works is there's a letter sent, the violator is notified of the violation, and then they either come forward, get notice of intent, come into compliance, or they don't. So regardless of that, that process took place however many years ago. So now this was a outstanding order of conditions. There's both a bylaw order of conditions issued and a Wetlands Protection Act order of conditions issued. That, when it's issued, goes to DEP. DEP, you can then appeal. He never appealed, no one ever appealed. So what we have before us right now is a request for certificate of compliance. So if the commission, so if you have new information, more so than has already been submitted, we can discuss that. Otherwise, the commission, if they feel they have enough information, will make a decision. Or, the commission can request more information or request more from you, and then they'll make a decision at another date. But at this present moment, we have a request for a certificate of compliance in front of us for the restoration plantings at the rear of the lot on adjacent property for the order of conditions issued 112-523, both for the bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act.
I don't understand what you're saying. So basically, the legality of this is not a discussion.
Not by this
No.
commission, we're not gonna
You
decide.
have to reach out
Let's
to
move-
DEP.
Let's
Okay.
move forward with
Okay. So, for me, being out there today, like, we've had other times where people haven't done plantings and it's 10 years later and it's regrown and there's no point ripping it out and planting anything new. This area wasn't exactly like that. I mean, it wasn't completely overgrown.
Looks like they
You
were,
could easily get and in all serious, I'll take your word that they said they did the plantings they didn't take. I swear to God, no plantings were ever done out there. There was no evidence that this was ever put in. Stakes do not disintegrate in 10 years completely with all the hay bales and the plastic. Plastic usually doesn't go away in 10 years. I can't believe that their argument is that we did it and we didn't take. I mean, I'd rather you come in and say, we never did this, we forgot. And I'd be a lot more, I'd appreciate that a lot more than what I feel is being lied to. Because it was clear to anybody out there, this was never done. And I don't know if planting's on it, but it was never staked out, there were never hay bales in there, there's no evidence of any trees that have died and didn't take. I just feel like I'm not being told the truth, telling the honest truth.
I mean,
But regardless, I was gonna say, you can say that, it doesn't matter. What matters is what do we do about it now? And what I'm tempted to say now is, for me, and again, everybody in the commission will have their own say, you can go out there, it's not overgrown to the point where I think putting in these plantings would hurt at this point. It's kind of just
No.
there and bare. I don't like to question what the commission did in the past. Again, I know what it's like. People come, they do their best, they read, they research, they go out, they put together a plan, and it upsets me when people come in and like, yeah, I never did that, but, you know, can I just get it written off now? And like, oh, things have changed and it's different. And we just ignored everything the commission said 10 years ago. And can you sign off now? Well, no. No, I can't. I don't think you should have ignored it 10 years ago. I think everything we're hearing about the environment says this is horrible when people just ignore things like this. And for me, I think you should do the plantings. You know, we have a list of what the plantings were supposed to be.
The other thing I can say is you're coming in here and telling us, well, we did that, and they didn't take. But how do you backing that up?
I do understand that.
So if you got like some
I'm going by
14 bushes, bush receipts, and then guys that put it in, or a landscape architect that did the work, and you show that to us and we just might have missed it, that might be something. But there's nothing coming here saying, you're saying we did it, we look at it and say, but,
I do understand where the commission is coming from
good.
with that, but I believe in integrity first of all. So
I do too.
If I'm saying what I'm saying is based on what I was told by the client. And,
Okay.
Oh,
so based
I
on the
understand.
information I have.
I'm not disagreeing with you, all I can say is that, you know what,
I've
and I
seen-
think, and I'll talk about this, you know, I'm not the chairman, he is, but I think that if there's some proof that the client actually did that, then let's see it. Like receipts of the bushes, where the bushes were bought, when they were put in, who put them in, any of that kind of stuff ought to be somewhere, right?
I mean,
Jeez, I don't know.
do you have?
Maybe
do you
it
have
disappeared
receipts?
with the hay bales, I don't know.
He should have saved the receipts first of all, but
Yeah.
then again, you have receipts from 13 years ago.
I-
That's another question. And then again, I believe I
I
took his
believe-
word for granted because
I-
I've seen application areas.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, I'm not saying that you're making this all up. All I'm saying is, you say you did it, I say, doesn't look like you did it, and let's see the receipts, you know, it's like, if your mother says it's all true, just verify, right?
I do understand where the
Okay.
question is coming from, and it's a fair request.
Yeah.
May
It's-
I
do
make a
understand that.
suggestion?
Yeah.
So seeing as your client would like to have this closed out, there is some growth there.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, although this is another option that I'm throwing out, I'm not saying this is
Impossible.
to do it or not to do it. Another option may be to issue a COC with ongoing conditions that state you need to plant, and have them succeed.
I'll need to discuss
Yeah,
that
I was
with
gonna
the
say,
client.
we're definitely doing it.
But I'm just saying, that seems to be, or come up with another plan that you're gonna plant back there, but the vegetation isn't there that's supposed to be there. Whether it was done or not, it didn't succeed, obviously, that's
Yes.
one thing
Yeah,
we
yeah,
always
yeah,
bring
no,
up
I was
here.
gonna say that's a
So-
really good point.
So that's, I think, from just looking at a request, or I mean, a certificate of compliance, issuing it, you have the ability to deny, complete certification, invalid order of condition, invalid certificate, invalid order of conditions, issuing a certificate that way, saying work was never done. Or you issue ongoing conditions. An ongoing condition may be, replant with successful vegetation, make sure it's guaranteed. Those are the options.
Yeah. And I could say too, I could see like even a reduced planting schedule to a certain extent, because the area has vegetated in a little bit, it's a little bit smaller, you know, the heart of it really.
But other than asking us just to forget it is not really,
I mean,
But would you ask him to go plan where he needs to take a backhoe in again or something like that? Or
That's not what was being requested to be planted though in the first
In
place.
the first place?
Yeah.
This is not a real difficult thing to go in and put some small bushes in.
No, you could do it by hand with yourself,
Shovel.
3 people,
Yeah,
3
shovel.
people at most, yeah.
It's easily accessible, the driveway basically comes
Yeah.
right up to it, and it's not a huge area, I mean, it's,
It's pretty small.
you know, the size of this room, not even, it's smaller than that, and condensed around with vegetation.
12 or 15 bushes.
I mean, I
And
could,
that might even be too many, I mean.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
so what they show right there is, you know, a dozen or maybe 15, maybe we
Yeah.
go down to 10 or 12 or something like that.
I could see that, you know, making a smart plan for some way to revegetate with natives.
I think I will have to contact the client and discuss this with him, but.
Okay. Because that isn't, like, as Rebecca put it, that is an option to do the ongoing conditions, which I could understand if he didn't want, you know, the other option, if we could get some sort of planting plan and just move forward to close it out.
Yes, I will go
Alright.
discuss with the
Good.
client and
So-
go back to the commission, but
Go ahead.
the thing again
Please,
is,
go ahead.
you guys are gonna hit me for saying.
That's okay. Go ahead, you gotta say
What
it.
makes you think we don't hate you
No,
already?
I know.
I apologize, I
Please.
apologize.
Yeah, please.
I mean, I don't take it personally, I'm gonna go home after this and see. So, I mean, basically the Wetland Protection Act is pretty explicit when it comes to the
Yeah.
interest in the protection of wetlands. It's
Great.
the 100 feet buffer zone.
Right.
Unless this area, or not vegetating this area, would explicitly affect the wetland, I don't see any additional benefit of vegetating this area.
Well, I think there's a lot of runoff coming down off that road to that small plateau and then down into the wetlands, that this would actually slow down. And as Rebecca pointed out, it's stuff touching on that 100-foot buffer zone that we deal with. And as I said earlier, if you want to go to court and say, this isn't covered under the Wetlands Protection Act, we're not doing it, that's fine. If there's a DEP file number, we've already said, this is covered by the Wetlands Protection Act, and you've already accepted orders of condition, and your owner or your boss signed off that your client, I'm so sorry, your client signed off that he accepts these orders of conditions and files them, like in Worcester, like, I'm not gonna say, no, it doesn't count anymore, like, it still counts.
Would the commission be open for us to provide a legal statement from an environmental lawyer?
It's
So,
perfect, I mean, I'd be open to hearing all the statements in the world. But again, if you're gonna take it to court and say, you know, we don't think this order of conditions should apply, and take it to court and say the order of conditions doesn't apply.
Okay.
As long as the order of conditions applies, we're gonna try to deal with what the order of conditions say.
My main issue is just, I mean, from a cost perspective for
Please,
the
yeah.
client, because obviously doing plantings costs money, because
Sure.
you have to hire, like, let's say a wetland scientist to supervise the work, because I've seen replication areas where
Sure.
they didn't do the work properly.
mhm,
And then you have to do monitoring, which also
Sure.
costs money.
mhm.
So when there's wetlands on my property, and I have to deal with the wetlands on my property,
I
it
mean-
costs me money.
There's
It
no
costs
wetland
Jeff
in this
money,
place.
it costs Bill money, it costs Lori a lot of money when she has to deal with wetlands on her property. I don't see how your client's different from any other citizen of the town of Bolton. Like, are they special? Are they supposed to not follow the laws because?
I mean, you're asking for work outside of the
No, no.
person.
You're asking for work that you already agreed to do as part of the Wetland Protection Act, is all I'm saying, like, you agreed legally to do this work, so do the work.
The order of
If you
conditions should have
have-
been issued to 21st century mill, because
No, so this, and the reason why, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we've talked about this multiple times already, it goes through DEP as well. Their circuit riders double check and make sure, and then there's an appeal period. If there's not an appeal, that gets issued and moved forward, so at the time it was issued. And within the findings that I just read, it required them to receive permission from the property owner at the time to do the work, which they did. Now, if there's an issue now, you'll have to contact DEP.
yes,
The
certainly.
board just has before them the request for COC. So if you want to talk with your client, we can discuss this at the next meeting, or the commission can discuss it at the next meeting. Or you can have the commission make a decision this evening. I think that by the sounds of it, the happy medium of some form of ongoing conditions with whether it's a slightly lessened planting plan or not is most likely what it seems to be the happy medium and compromise to resolve this issue, so it's not at a substantial cost to your client or an ongoing thing for the commission as well, because this was something that has already been issued. I've never seen a time when DEP has issued a permit and then come back and said, no, it's not applicable anymore. There's a reason for it to be issued, so that's what's before the commission tonight. Those are the options. If we need to continue them, I understand, you know, you were given, some suggestions by your client. So I don't know if they gave you that option to continue it, but if,
Yes, I would like, I would like to continue the hearing.
Okay, okay.
Good idea.
And we can absolutely do it, but do you have any other questions for us at this point? Anything else you might need to go back to them with? And again, I hope Rebecca's a good resource too, if you ever need to email
Yeah,
her.
so other than the ongoing conditions, is there any other additional requests by the commission? And then my other question is that if we were to do the plannings, would the commission want us to monitor the area?
Usually it's a 2-year monitoring.
2 years.
so after, well, it's 2 growing periods, or 2 years, so it
Okay.
depends on what the commission issues. If they do the 2 growing periods, then it would be spring, fall. If it was 2
So
years,
that'd be
then it'd be, 4 growing periods.
okay, great.
So it's 2 monitoring or 4 monitoring.
Okay, I will contact the client and get back to the commission as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'm sorry for.
No, you're perfectly fine, don't apologize.
This is
Yeah.
a learning
Yeah,
experience for me
that's,
also.
hey, it's a job.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, have a good night. All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for Certificate of Compliance 1 Century Mill Road until our next meeting, April 2nd at 7:45 p.m.
Second.
Second.
What?
Are we supposed to sign something to continue?
No, we
think so.
have it recorded, and I'll email you about the date. But thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, have a good night.
Always done.
Bill had the second there.
Yes.
Bill had the second, so all those in favor of
Aye.
continuing? Aye. So moved.
Good point, though, Lori.
Ugh.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you 347 South Bolton? Are you okay if we start your hearing early? All right. Everybody at home who was coming to talk to this that hasn't showed up yet, I apologize. If you'd like to come up, please do. All right. The Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability for 347 South Bolton Road, a tree removal project. The public hearing to begin right now. Okay. What are we looking at for a project?
So there's, I've had an arborist over, he's done some trimming for me before.
Okay.
And I was a little surprised, we have a large oak tree in our front yard. I don't know if I can reach around it or not. It's about 10 feet from the house, it's probably about, I'd say it's about 80 feet from the wetlands. We looked down at the base of it, and he's telling me that that's really not a good sign, that it's got a, and actually we've owned the house for 20 years now. I thought it used to come down like nicely into the ground, and now it's got a bulge that's pretty sizable, it's got a lot of moss on it, and apparently it's just an invitation if it hasn't already started for disease. It always has, I mean, that's a tree. But there's 2 trees that have always kind of worried me with their, that one, there's one in the back that I'm not gonna deal with right now. It's a large oak that's very close to the back of my house. So when he brought that up, there were times when I'd actually been thinking about putting some solar on the front of the house. And it's like, oh, I could actually do that now, because that tree, although some of the shade is nice in the summertime, it also, I think it shades the beauty of the house in such a way that, I don't think solar was really a good option before anyway. So I'd like to take that down.
Thoughts, updates? I don't know. Have you had a chance to go out and look?
I actually drove by because it's quite
Yeah.
visible from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
road
yeah.
instead of intruding. Because it's on currently maintained lawn, there are exemptions
pictures
Yeah.
make their full way
Yeah.
around, because then I think it gives people a good
I
idea
drove
of
by
what
it
you're
too, I drove by it too, the tree looked pretty healthy to me, but I
Uh,
don't, not near it, but I did.
It's
I
been
guess-
dropping some big branches, but you're right.
Yeah,
It doesn't-
I know.
It doesn't look terrible.
Yeah, but it's over the house, and if a windstorm came down, and it looks like a branch could go through that roof, which is considerable. You know, I don't know if they can trim around it or not.
I'd actually talked to him a little bit about, there's a branch that's about, basically, and that tree goes up, there's a couple of large branches that come, that come off of it, and one of them is sizable, and it does go
Over the house.
over the house.
Yeah, I know.
And, yeah, I guess I'm mostly thinking is like, if this tree is really not on a good trajectory, then I'd be taking that down, eventually I have to take the rest of it down.
Well,
You know,
what does the
that might be-
arborist say? Who's the arborist? I shouldn't, do I have to ask that question?
You
Yeah,
can.
yeah, it's Mike Spencer.
Well,
It's,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I can get more information.
No, but what does he
about-
say? Does he,
Oh,
what does he
yeah.
suggest?
Yeah, no,
Cut the tree down?
well, yeah, he said probably this thing's eventually gonna have to go.
How
I mean,
old is that
that's
tree?
what-
You've been there 40, 20
about
years.
20 years.
So it was
big
big when
I
you got there.
Yeah, I'd be taking a while, I guess, it's 70, 80 years.
How old is the
old.
house?
And it's- House was built in 86.
86.
And, I'm guessing that they cleared and they left that tree. There were, I got a couple other trees too, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that
if they
tree,
cleared
I
most
don't
of it,
think
left
that tree go that fast since
Yeah,
86.
no,
Well, yeah,
I would think so.
It could be wide too.
I mean, there was like more, I guess there used to be a pig farm in that area, that I understand. And, you could kind of tell one section in there was a lot more cleared at one point, so.
So you think the
It might have been just, it might have been a little field there. I know there's actually, I've done a little work trying to figure out my borders, which are kind of weird. This house is stuck really way in one corner of the property, and it looks like there used to be another building like right at the edge of my property, on the side where the house is up against it, so it might have been clear that might have been going for a while there. Where it's got low branches, it makes me think that it didn't have much competition.
Yeah.
My other trees, you can tell they're all tops,
Yeah.
so those ones there have been grown in the woods.
Whereabouts is 347 South Walton?
It's almost down to, you know where Mill Road is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the front of Sean Mill
Mill
Road.
Road.
So it's a white cake just before you get to, Wheeler Road, if you're heading to.
After that mud
Yeah.
puddle that falls, it fills up after a rainstorm, there's a mud puddle.
There is a
It's
big
little-
mud puddle
little
right
path.
next to, yeah, I guess somebody's looking at building up in that 5 acres there, yeah,
There's a big mud puddle there that fills up every
Yeah, I'm not
rainstorm.
sure why that, and there's drainage there and stuff, I don't understand why it doesn't.
There's a lot of
find-
areas
There's a
like that
lot,
now.
there's a lot of interesting issues there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so that's
That's what it was.
So, I mean, I can get more information
See,
from,
right down here, there's a dips down, and there's
Yep.
all those full
Yep.
of water.
Yep.
Whenever it rains.
Is there, yeah.
snows.
Well, you know, too,
It's not
it's
your
not both
land.
a lot.
what's that?
That's not
Oh,
your
yeah,
land.
no, that's not, I own like half of the other little swampy area there that's.
But nothing like owning swampy areas.
It's both.
We all do.
They were built
Yeah.
next to it.
It's good,
It's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Privacy.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, my thought is, the question I asked was, what does the arborist think? So that may something that we need to see in some sort of writing or
Sure.
something like that, before we do anything. The other thought is, I don't know, that's what I would think, what the arborist suggests. We don't want this guy
Yeah.
to have a branch fall in his house, do we? I mean, it's not our
I mean,
problem.
I
That's
don't,
within,
but-
not within our
No.
jurisdiction,
Unfortunately, my
but,
mindset is not to sound heartless, but I look at the resource areas.
right.
And then are there exemptions? In this case, there are.
Yeah.
Or exceptions? In this case, there are. So then it's, oh, it would benefit safety as well.
Yeah, right. That's, you've said it more eloquently than I just don't want a branch to go through his house, so I.
Yeah. Nobody does.
Nobody will. But I would be interested what the arborist had to say, what diseases he thinks this tree's got, measles, mumps, or whatever.
Other thoughts, questions?
Do we ever ask for something to be planted in its place if we say, yeah, go ahead, cut it down?
Do we ever? The answer is yes. More typically it's done in areas that aren't lawn. But it's not to say it's not expected either.
But if he's interested in putting solar on the property, then, I mean, that's
Yeah.
another conservation wise move.
Right.
So that would also benefit.
It's a really good move.
Yeah, I would probably wanna, if I planted another tree, I'd wanna plant it like a little
So
further
it's-
away.
yeah.
And then I have a lot of trees actually right now, so
Maybe
there's,
another
there's,
location.
yeah. Yeah, I've got a whole row of trees that are, actually really close to the back of the house, on either side, I've got some.
There's a lot of trees down there, so. both
Yeah.
are-
Yeah, it's one of those.
There's a lot of houses that have, they were just, it looks like they just cleared out enough for the house, and we've got some soaring trees. Driving them down the road.
Most of those houses were camps.
That's right.
I guess that, yeah, just down the street from us, that's what I heard from, some of the.
Right on the borderline, those were also
Yep.
camps.
The road and going all the way down, yeah. I like,
Actually, just.
What, was it a pig farm? So the hog, I know it's the hog swamp, but was there ever
Well,
a?
maybe it was ever called Hog Swamp, to be honest with you, but I don't remember a pig farm down there, but that's, you know.
Yeah, no, it was the first I had heard about a
Yeah.
possibility. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
that's
that's
what
maybe,
I would assume if we're a farm, there would be a few pigs on the farm, but
Yeah.
Probably.
maybe.
I thought it was a bigger than just like a
Maybe
couple of
a pig
pigs,
got lost
but.
in the
Yeah,
swamp.
I mean, you had the old sawbox, but
They die
Yeah.
sometimes.
Not that jurisdiction.
I know,
It gets
sorry.
lost in the swamp. Anyway, my only thing,
Yep.
to get back to it, trying to
Yep.
get back to what we were talking about, but is just to see what the arborist had to say, and
Okay.
then, you know, we can, you know, figure out what you wanna do with it. I mean, Rebecca says, is it, because it's in a lawn, does that mean he has to get our approval to chop it down?
No, that's not why. So that's one of the exemptions.
That's why it could be exempt, yeah.
Under both the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw.
Yeah.
That because it's on maintained lawn, or he's maintaining vegetation that's currently existing, that allows him,
To,
but the commission has to determine it. The reason why it's before the commission is because it's within the 100-foot buffer
Right.
and adjacent upland resource area.
all right. So,
Yeah, I tend to fall a lot of the same to it. It's right at the edge of the buffer, which doesn't mean it's not in the buffer, but it's right at the edge of the buffer. It's in the middle of existing lawn. And, you know, it's one of those trees I think most people wouldn't want to take down unless they had to, or they were going solar. I think
Yeah.
you'd probably prefer to keep it up
I
if it was
would have
healthy.
kept it up,
You did.
You
Yeah,
did,
yeah, for the last
20
20 years, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it, like I said, I don't know, just looking at it, and I tried to understand a little bit about root flare and was it core, the core problems and stuff like that, that could be, I don't even know how they would, can you actually take a core out of a tree to see if it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get that far, it was just,
That's interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty straightforward thing to do. I know they actually do that to H houses sometimes.
Yeah.
They'll live in a house and do a
Yeah.
core on it.
That's really
And
interesting.
find a particular, there were some years where there wasn't much growth in the thick, and they
Sure, different one
get
than drought years.
ideas. But anyway, you could vote on it, and I don't mind, I could have my, the arborist, I think write a letter, just
Report.
give us an idea of what it's, some more detail on that.
so what kind of advice would you give us, Rebecca? Turning to her, right?
Well, again, I keep mentioning it. It is technically exempt, but the commission has to make that determination to allow the work. I think it's beneficial to hear what the arborist has to say, which has been represented in the application regarding the fact that it's a mature tree. It has the potential because of the roof flare that it is more susceptible to insects, so pests, and then disease. So, sort of my minimal background
Yeah.
in arboriculture would mean you either take it down now, since it's already at its mature age, or you treat it, but if you treat it, you're adding some form of a chemical. We don't really prefer that in the
Yep.
resource areas or jurisdictional areas, and it's exempt. Or it's an exception under the regulation, so, yeah, the options are you both make a decision, or the applicant requests a continuance based on the fact that you've requested, written information from the arborist regarding the health and integrity of the tree. Those seem to be what you seem to be.
Do you have a wood stove?
I do have 2 fireplaces, so they don't get used very often.
You will.
But,
Nice cook.
yeah, I actually have a little stack of wood, but, yeah, I certainly want to make sure that the tree was used if it comes in.
Could we have a finding contingent upon receiving information? I'm trying to think, if we get information from the arborist, would we be able to get significant enough information from the arborist to change our decision?
Well, if the tree's really sick.
Yeah, I guess would the arborist ever say, this tree is really healthy, there's no point in doing this? Because other than that, I think our determination stays the same. Like, I'm happy to get more information from the arborist, but I'm not sure that it can even.
Yeah, I probably won't sway anything.
The other option is to, you can always close the public hearing this evening and then vote at the next meeting.
I do have a couple of pictures of what it looks like at the base of things. That's cool. Make sure this is on there. That's what's happening at the base of it now. Which even if you went by, you probably couldn't, did you go by when there was snow on the ground? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's even breaking out. I mean, if you want to go by and do that, you could.
So that was
I mean,
apple
if
tree.
he wants,
The
if he's the one
bark
that's
is
questioning.
basically starting to like.
Yeah,
fall
yeah,
off
to be
on
sure.
it.
Rock.
Just prune it.
Prune it, huh?
So it seems as
And it
though
does
we're
have a lot
leaning
of
towards
issues.
letting the tree be removed.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too.
We're A-okay. Okay. So, first and foremost, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for request for determination of applicability for 347 South Fulton Road. Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so closed. If we were to say it's basically non-jurisdictional, then it's existing law, is it a -5 determination, or is it a different determination?
-5 and a -6. Because -6 is related to the bylaw.
Okay. So, in that case, I think I would like to make a motion that we issue a -5 and -6 determination under the Wetland Protection Act, under the bylaw, for the request for determination of applicability for 347 South Bolton Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was a mouthful.
It was.
Yes.
He does it very
So a
well.
negative determination. means
Okay.
you
It's a
can
positive,
do
sorry.
Okay.
A negative is a good thing, positive is.
Which means we didn't make you go off and do extra paper.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Just be clear, some people
Yeah, it's very.
I mean, should it,
Do what you want.
you don't have something on file?
Yes, so I
So-
will, I can either mail you a copy or you can pick up a copy of that in my office tomorrow or at your convenience.
Yeah, I'm good, Neil.
Okay, I can mail it to you as well.
I'm just trying to get some estimates at this time.
Of course.
taking it down, so.
And that will be beneficial as well, so you have that to show them. That's it.
Thank you.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Thank you.
Might even make it to the
I
library.
was kind of
Jeff
surprised
is
in the last one that the owner didn't come. It's like, it just.
Oh, he
It's
doesn't.
not-
They're not gonna look through some
It's
stuff.
not all abnormal
Surprise.
that the owner
Yeah,
doesn't come a
yeah.
lot of times. just,
Especially company owners or, something.
Yeah.
So,
But it is certainly better.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right,
So,
are we gonna try and make it to the library?
minutes.
What time does that start?
It started at 7, but it makes no big difference. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes.
I thought they were outstanding.
Outstanding is one,
Well written.
Not a
I'm just
typo
gonna
to be
add in
seen.
typos, just so I make sure he's right.
I know,
Can you read it? Yeah.
Okay, in that case, we'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our March 6, 2019 meeting as drafted and submitted.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So approved.
Any comments about the land use policy that I handed out
Nope.
last time, and it's also in your packets this time? Or is that okay, do we wanna take more time? If we wanna take more time, that's fine as well.
I possibly should take, I think it's
Okay.
okay, but I don't think I've put the requisite amount of time into, I've more skimmed it than really thought hard about whatever pitfalls, watchouts. So I should probably say I should take more time personally.
Alright, so, I mean, there's no rush,
Okay.
because the, kindergarten
It has
is gonna use
moved.
the comment, so it's not as,
Yeah.
much of a priority right now. Still River Common comments. I emailed the draft, you have a draft in your packet. If we make it this evening, they have a draft in ZBA right now. But if there are any changes that need to be made, let me know. If not,
I have, right, I don't have any right now, yeah.
so, okay.
There were no typos in this, by the way.
Just the
I
page
tried,
numbers.
huh?
Just the page numbers.
Yes.
That doesn't count.
No.
Any other mail or anything that we need to go through tonight? All right, in which case, as much as we want to talk conservation, some of us might try to get to the ZBA meeting. So, for all you lovely people watching at home, still time to get to the library. And I'd like to make a motion that we close the Tuesday, March 19, 2019 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So closed.